This kit is not designed to replace the advice of your physician or diabetes educator. Your physician is your single best source of information regarding your child's health. Please consult your physician if you have any questions about your child's health or treatment.
Johnny was 12, and I thought the whole world had crashed down.
Hey, stand. See Johnny cry killed me. You know, it hit him.
For a single mom, you feel like it's just you and your child against the world.
Johnny and I both had it now. They had to watch out for both of us.
It's gonna be all right. You just gotta deal with it.
At first I was a little scared, but I'm not gonna let this stop me.
If your child's just been diagnosed with diabetes, you are at the beginning of a challenging journey. You don't know exactly what you're going to do. And no parent does at the point that you are right now.
The most important thing, I think, for families to know is that the very emotional upheaval that they are experiencing is absolutely normal and expected, but it won't last forever.
I'll do 7.5. I'm Donna. I am married to Stan. We've been married for 18 years, and we have 2 children, Megan, who is just turned 16 on April 15th, and Johnny, who is 13, turning 14 in July. Stan is the calm one. He's more the good cop in the house.
My dad is a lot more laid back. My mom's crazy. She's like, you have to get the readings down. If we don't do it, she says it a few more times.
She's always been kind of like the diabetes person, always getting, you know, the shots and stuff done, making sure I do it right.
I think they're typical teenagers. They're tired of me checking in on them. I wouldn't call myself strict, but I do tend to be the worrier in the family.
Good morning. Let's get it up. All right, let's go in here and get some blood sugar real quick. My name is Rochelle. I'm the mother of Rajan, who's 7 and is a type 1 diabetic, and also Raquel, who is his older sister, 11 years old.
When I grow up, I either want to be a chef, a doctor, or an artist. I want to be a doctor because if children come to the hospital with diabetes, I want to help them understand how to do it. And if I become a chef, I want to create my own recipes and make all kinds of different foods. And if I become an artist, I can technically paint all sorts of stuff, I can paint what I'm feeling. I can maybe be all 3.
1, 2, 3.
When diabetes first entered our lives, I thought, I'm not going to be able to handle this. I remember the doctor came in and said he had diabetes, and I just was like, no, this can't be happening to us. I think I went into immediate shock. I know Stan did.
To see Johnny cry killed me. You know, it hit him.
I remember looking over at him and sorry, I just remember his lips were quivering.
It's been 25 years since my son was diagnosed, but one of the things that hasn't changed much is the emotional reaction. We got more technology, but still a lot of the feelings are the same. And I've noticed the first feeling that people often have is shock.
The first time I heard Rajan had diabetes, I kind of felt like I'd been swept up in a whirlwind. You're thrown into it, whether you want to participate or not. Here you are.
I guess I had always thought when Johnny was diagnosed that Megan would be there to take care of him. And that's still the case. But when she was diagnosed, I was like, oh my gosh, both of them. How are we going to do this? You just never in a million years would think that both of your children would have diabetes.
It's infrequent that it happens as it did in Megan and Johnny's family, that 2 siblings develop diabetes. But it is a bit higher risk than it is in the rest of the population.
It was the worry I had for him. what effect it would have on his life. I cried. I cried for my son. I just felt like, why us? Why did this happen to us?
The thing that is so important, I think, for parents to recognize is that though sadness is natural, you couldn't possibly feel anything else, your child is still your child. If you can't cry, that's okay, but don't deny the feeling.
The impact of the diagnosis of diabetes on families is almost always very dramatic. But I can tell you with great certainty that as time goes on, hope begins to emerge again, because you see that you do have control over most of these things that have fueled your fears.
You're diagnosed, and 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, you're in a hospital and you're learning a whole new lifestyle, basically. So it's pretty overwhelming.
It's kind of a blur. I think he was in there 4 or 5 days. It was just a lot of things to learn in a very short period of time before you're sent out on your own.
Every day there are new tools, new advances in diabetes treatment, but those tools are often complex. But for right now, don't be overwhelmed by all of that. Let it come in slowly.
I guess what I needed most of all was a shoulder to cry on, somebody to just come over and say, this is not terrible. This is something you will live with.
You know, you're not alone. Other people do this. It's not so bad. You can do it too, kind of a thing. That would have, to me, that would have been a really big help.
Unfortunately, it's rare that within the clinical setting that the emotional needs of the family are taken care of. The best advice that I can give is to ask for that support. What you want to make sure is that you have someone to call 24/7 so that you have a safety line for those first few weeks.
I did not want to go home from the hospital. I remember we stayed right through dinner, I think with Johnny and maybe with Megan, just to get that one more meal in where we could just do the carb counting, the shot. And you have all these boxes of things, and they're checking to make sure everything's there, and they're teaching you how to use it all. But it's all very fast, all while you're sitting there trying not to cry, trying not to be afraid, trying to put on a brave face for your kids.
That it is very normal, very common for parents to have tremendous anxiety, especially for the first few nights when they bring their child home.
I was so worried. Initially, I would get up twice during the night to check blood sugars while he was sleeping.
We'd always check to see if he was breathing, at night. It's scary. It's really scary.
There are a lot of firsts when it comes to diabetes, and each one of them can feel overwhelming.
At first, I couldn't give myself a known shot. I couldn't even watch it. I'd make the doctor do it, my dad do it.
When I first got diabetes, I was like testing. I hate testing. I didn't want to do it at all. But as time goes on, it gets quicker. It's not going to be as slow as it was at the beginning. So testing gets easier, needles get easier. It gets better.
Don't be afraid, because once you get really used to it, it feels like nothing ever happened. So it's like, because since the needle's so small, it feels like nothing, because when you get really used to it.
The concept of injecting a young child brings up all sorts of feelings. If you talk to the youngsters, you'll see that, the shots often become very routine.
When Rajan returned to school, it was scary. It was our first separation from one another since he had been diagnosed.
My mom was kind of worried that my blood sugar dropped too low and nobody would know.
I was used to caring for him. I had to give up that control and turn it over to somebody else. What is he doing now? They're just playing outside. And as long as he continues to play, we just check his blood sugar just to make sure he's not using too much energy and going low. If he gets high, just look at the scale and give him the correct dose of insulin. And if you are stumped on anything, just please give me a call.
I remember calling the school nurse. How did he look at lunch? Did he look any different? What if he goes low? What if no one helps him? What if he passes out? He just recently went skiing with a family he had never been away with, all the way up in Vermont for a day. So it was, Stan went over to the house and showed him everything in the kit.
Building the confidence
to let go is a process, but the biggest thing that builds that confidence is experience.
The first time when he went alone with his father, I had failed to pack his nighttime insulin. So that was definitely a first. I had never put him to bed since diagnosis without that nighttime insulin. And I cried. I called the doctor at 10 o'clock at night. Doctor calmed me down, walked me right through it. I was able to deliver the message to Rajan's father as to what needed to go on for his care. And everything turned out fine the next morning.
One of the things you're going to wonder as a parent of a kid with diabetes is, am I going to make mistakes? The fact is, you can't do diabetes perfectly. No one can do diabetes perfectly, whether it's an adult, a parent, or a child. What you do is the best you can do.
You have the right and the need to express the emotions that you have. So does the child, and so do the siblings in the family. So talking honestly about the disappointments and the fears and often the anger that come along is part of getting through those and moving on.
Being the sibling of a kid with diabetes is also a big deal.
The first reaction I had was, I think I asked my mom, I said, "What is that?"
She'd never been up close and personal with diabetes. So, you know, it was a very new experience for her.
I remember him being really upset and walking around and not being able to eat. And there I was eating whatever I wanted and I felt bad.
Often siblings feel guilty. Why didn't I get it? And resentful. The kid with diabetes is getting all the attention.
Everything was about Johnny and getting shots, and attention was more towards him because he had diabetes now.
At first, I was jealous. I was like, I'm here too.
She did acknowledge that she felt left out, kinda. I had to explain to her why Mommy was with Rajan so much all day, and that it's a big change for her, but if he's the one living it, it's really a huge change for him.
The other thing that I noticed that's so interesting is every one of them worries about the sibling and wants to do the best they possibly can to help.
And Rajan is one of my best friends, and I have like all of his best interests at heart.
Make sure that the sibling has an opportunity to deal with those feelings of worry and concern by doing something constructive. Every sibling I know wants to be involved in some positive way. And when parents make that possible, it makes a big difference.
I would call her in when I would check blood sugars or prep needles and give shots, just so that she could see the process up close and be familiar with it. And I think that really helped her to feel more comfortable and more a part of what we were doing to care for Rajan.
She gets worried about me a lot when I'm high or low. And she knows my mom's out when I'm home with her and my blood sugar drops. She knows to call her and ask her what she should do.
So if he needs my help, then, you know, Mom's there, but I'm there too.
You know, in the very beginning, we were both afraid. And I think we had a lot of arguments over, you know, just silly things, what they were eating, what they needed to do.
It takes its toll. I mean, you know, you find yourself kind of staring at each other and, you know, but you, again, realize it's you know, you're just trying to help the kids out.
If you are lucky enough to have a partner in your life, you will find that this diabetes will affect that relationship.
It's hard. I don't know how else to say it, but it's not without its moments, but I think in a way it's brought us all very close.
We definitely spend more time together. We have to, because we have to count the carbs and everything.
Now, over time, we've developed a routine. The kids know what's expected of them, and I'm learning to let go. You know, it's a lot of compromise. Just like any situation, you just have to learn to deal with it.
Be really clear that all this tension is not about You and your partner is about the two of you and the diabetes.
If you don't have another parent in the home to support you in your efforts, it can be a huge, huge task to face in your life. So I encourage every single mother to take the best care you can of your child, but more importantly, believe in yourself. You are the vessel through which this child will feel better.
It's important to recognize that when diabetes comes into your family should become a team, with every person involved, every person playing a role, every person supported by the others to get the best possible outcome for your child who has diabetes and for the whole family.
Let your children do what they were doing before they were diagnosed. Treat them like they don't have diabetes and learn how to fit all the diabetes stuff into that.
The future looks bright. I feel like I have a better hold of it. At the first few months I was a little confused of what to do, but I'm definitely getting a better hold on the situation.
Because we embraced his diabetes, we didn't run away from it. Rajan's not embarrassed about it. He's very comfortable. He knows it's part of who he is and that it makes him an extra special person.
God is great, God is good. Thank you, dear, for our food, delivered. Amen.
Amen. So Rajan, you been doing good today?
As long as you check it every couple of hours, and as long as you're still checking it, make sure it's not going too high or too low, you can still play sports and do activities.
Rajan's future is bright. My baby has learned so much through having diabetes. He hopes to one day be a doctor so that he can help other children. So it's just inspired all of us. I mean, my son is at 7 years old striving for great heights to be a doctor. And I mean, he's so bright and so intelligent, he may have the cure for it. I really believe that.
When you seek out the right kind of help, when you have gotten the information that you need, when you have built an emotional support system around mom and dad and your youngster with diabetes, that is where the hope will come, because once you've got the help you need, you'll get the experience that will make you more skillful. That will build your confidence, and that's the basis of hope.
In a week, things will be different from the way they are today. In a month, different yet. A year from now, you'll look back on this time and you'll see we've begun to really make diabetes part of our lives. We're doing better. And year after year after year, you'll see you are more a family than you are a family with diabetes.
That this video has been helpful to you, especially hearing the words of these families that are the real experts in what you're going through right now, to see how they have dealt with their child's diagnosis and how things are going, how well things are going a little while out from where you are now. There are other parts of this kit that we hope you'll find very useful as well. There are what are called quick cards, which are intended to supplement the great education and the materials you've gotten from your own diabetes team. They are very brief, and they will allow you to access information more quickly and more easily than perhaps from the large volume of information that you're undoubtedly looking at now. There are also cards called Give One cards, and they are intended to help you initiate the dialogue with all those important people in your family's life that will help you support this child with diabetes, to tell them what diabetes is, to inform them of the diagnosis, and to give them brief information that will help you keep this child safe going forward. We hope that you'll come back to the video as time goes on and listen again to the great words of encouragement that have been provided by the families that have spoken to you today. And we wish you health and happiness and hope going forward in your child's life with diabetes. You should always consult your doctor or your diabetes educator if you have any questions or if you make any changes to your child's insulin regimen, diet, or exercise program.